The story begins with a 22 years young boy named John, who tells his friend Sluggo to get ready so they can meet their friends at the beach to play basketball and have some fun. After the game, everyone heads home, except for John and Sluggo, who decide to stick around a little longer. Sluggo suggests that they should cross the river to check out the luxurious houses on the other side, where the wealthy people live, since they both come from a poorer area. The only issue is they don't know how to cross the river. As they stand on the shore, they notice someone leaving a boat behind. Without much thought, John and Sluggo decide to take it in order to cross the river. Once on the other side, they are amazed by the opulent palaces and homes, admiring the lavish lifestyle of the people there. They find themselves dreaming of a day when they might live like that. They spot a group of young people diving into the water. One of them accidentally lands on a little girl, causing her to start drowning. Without hesitation, John leaps into the water to rescue her, while Sluggo grabs the boat to help pull her to safety. The little girl's name is Patricia. John and Sluggo manage to return Patricia safely to her father, Frank, who is incredibly grateful. To show his appreciation, Frank invites them to his home so John can change into some dry clothes. When they arrive, they discover that Frank is extremely wealthy and lives in a grand house. As Frank takes Patricia to her room, John waits in the living room. That's when he sees Elizabeth, Frank's stunning older daughter, who seems somewhat surprised to see John and Sluggo at her father's house. Frank explains what happened, and then he offers John dry clothes. He insists on driving John and Sluggo back home afterward. The next day, Elizabeth and her father, Frank, welcome their grandmother, who's come to stay with them for a few days. It's clear that Elizabeth is still feeling down, though no one knows why. During breakfast, the grandmother annoys Elizabeth by pressuring her to decide which university she plans to attend, insisting she enroll in a particular one. Frank steps in and tells his mother to let Elizabeth choose the path she wants to follow. He also shares that he's decided to sell the luxurious house. Elizabeth agrees with her father, but the grandmother strongly disagrees, arguing that they could simply hire someone to take care of the house rather than sell it. Meanwhile, John is talking with his mother and stepfather, who asks him about his university plans. John tells them that he applied to a drama school, but his stepfather mocks him and his dreams. On the other hand, his mother supports him, congratulating him for his talent in theater and saying his choice is a great one. Despite the encouragement from his mother, John seems upset by his stepfather's dismissive words. Later, John meets up with his friends and discovers they are planning to rob Frank's house, following Sluggo's suggestion. Sluggo had noticed Frank's wealth when they visited him after saving Patricia. However, John is strongly against the idea, saying that Frank had been kind to them and didn't deserve this. Sluggo argues that all rich people are the same. Despite his reservations, John feels powerless to stop them and reluctantly agrees to go along, even though he disagrees with their plan. After arriving at Frank's house, Sluggo suggests that John stay outside and keep watch if he doesn't want to be involved in the robbery. John refuses and insists on going to the house with them. They begin taking valuable items from the house. John finds himself in Elizabeth's room, looking at her personal belongings and photos, but he's interrupted by Sluggo, who is holding a gun he found in Frank's office. John asks Sluggo to put the gun back where he found it, but Sluggo refuses, leading to an argument between the two. Just then, Frank and his daughters arrive home and notice that the lights are on. Frank decides to leave his daughters in the car and go inside to check what's going on. Sensing Frank's presence, John and the others panic and quickly flee, making sure they aren't seen. Frank enters the house, realizing the robbery has taken place and that his gun is missing. He immediately calls the police to report the theft. The next day, John receives a response from the university he applied to and learns that he has been accepted. Days pass, and John prepares for his first day at university. He's excited, feeling a sense of awe as he enters the campus. When he walks into the classroom, he's shocked to see Elizabeth sitting there. He feels a mix of surprise, nervousness, and happiness all at once. After class, John approaches Elizabeth, and she remembers that he's the one who saved her sister, Patricia, from drowning. As they talk, John notices that Elizabeth seems sad, but he doesn't ask her about it. Later, he meets another classmate, who shares that he has known Elizabeth for a long time. The classmate reveals that Elizabeth's mother passed away a few months ago, and this loss has caused her to struggle with depression and sadness. John spends the evening thinking about Elizabeth, to the point where he starts searching for her on social media. It seems that Elizabeth is also looking for John, as she tells her father and sister that he's attending university with her. Patricia is thrilled to hear this and asks Elizabeth to invite John to her birthday party. Back at home, John has a conversation with his stepfather, who offers him money to avoid getting involved in trouble with his thief friends. John becomes angry and responds rudely, feeling frustrated with his stepfather's attitude. The next day, Elizabeth is visibly upset, and the professor scolds her in front of the entire class. She storms out of the room, but John follows her, hoping to comfort her about the loss of her mother. However, Elizabeth, for reasons unknown to John, snaps at him in anger. The following day, John approaches Elizabeth to apologize for his previous attempts to comfort her. She accepts his apology and, to his surprise, invites him to her sister Patricia's birthday party. John agrees and gives Elizabeth his phone number so she can contact him. Later, John returns home and tries to confront his stepfather. In a heated exchange, his stepfather accuses him of being too dependent. Just then, John's friend intervenes, threatening his stepfather with a gun that was stolen from Frank's house. The friend helps John, who thanks him for stepping in. The next day, John attends Patricia's birthday party. He congratulates her and is soon greeted by Elizabeth, who takes him to her room to sit together and quiet away from the noise of the party. It seems Elizabeth is starting to take an interest in John, and they agree to go out together the next day. After the party, John says goodbye to Elizabeth and heads home, only to be surprised to find his mother in tears. Her husband has divorced her, leaving her devastated. John stays by her side to comfort and support her during this tough moment. Meanwhile, Elizabeth struggles to meet John as planned because she has to stay home and take care of her younger sister. Eventually, she calls John, explaining that her father, Frank, has ordered her to stay home. She asks John to come over, and John agrees, asking his friends to drive him to her house. However, his friends insist that Elizabeth should come out with them instead of staying home. After some hesitation, Elizabeth decides to leave her sister at home and join John and his friends for a fun time together. Later, John drives Elizabeth back home, but before parting, Elizabeth asks him to stay by the pool with her for a while. John agrees, and they share a peaceful moment together. Suddenly, they are startled when Frank arrives. In a panic, John quickly hides underwater to avoid being seen by Frank. After a tense moment, John emerges from the water, greets Elizabeth, and leaves. The next day, John dresses in elegant clothes and wears a stylish watch that his friend Sluggo had entrusted to him. He heads to a party where he meets Elizabeth, and the two enjoy each other's company, laughing and talking as they get closer. After the party ends, John offers to drive Elizabeth home, but on their way, they're suddenly stopped by a group of masked thieves. The men demand their valuables. John hesitates to give up Sluggo's expensive watch, knowing how much it meant to his friend. The situation quickly turns tense. One of the thieves strikes Elizabeth, and another threatens her safety. Realizing the danger she's in, John immediately hands over the watch without resistance. Though his intentions were noble, Elizabeth is hurt and furious. She doesn't understand why he didn't act sooner to protect her. When her father, Frank, arrives to pick her up, he's furious at John and orders him to stay away from his daughter. Later at home, Frank tells Elizabeth never to speak to John again. But Elizabeth stands her ground. She admits she's angry, but says that doesn't mean she'll cut John out of her life. Frustrated, Frank warns her that John comes from a different world, a world of hardship and poverty, and suggests that the attack may not have been random after all. Days go by, and John starts noticing that Elizabeth hasn't been coming to university. He had been hoping for a chance to talk to her, to say the things left unsaid. Unable to wait any longer, he decides to visit her at her home. Surprisingly, Elizabeth lets him in quietly, making sure her father doesn't notice. John speaks from the heart. He apologizes for everything, for the pain he caused her, and then confesses that he's in love with her. He admits he can't imagine his life without her anymore. Moved by his sincerity, Elizabeth confesses her feelings too. Their emotions flow freely, and they share a moment of connection that marks the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship. They spend happy days together, rediscovering joy in each other's presence. But this peace doesn't last long. One day, John receives a call from Sluggo. He's demanding the return of the expensive watch he had given John to hold. John agrees to meet and explain everything. When they meet, John tells Sluggo the truth. The watch was stolen the night of the attack. Sluggo becomes furious. He reveals that the watch was his last hope to repay a dangerous debt, and now his life might be in danger. Desperate to help, John comes up with a reckless idea. They could steal valuable audiovisual equipment from the university studio and sell it to settle Sluggo's debts. Despite the risk, they follow through with the plan. The next day, Elizabeth receives an unexpected message from John. In it, he tells her that he doesn't deserve her, that she should be with someone better. His words leave her confused and heartbroken. She reads the message over and over, trying to understand what went wrong. At university, news spreads that some valuable recording equipment has been stolen. What's even more unsettling is that the thieves used a hidden ceiling entry, one only known to a handful of students, including John and a few of his friends. Elizabeth tries to brush it off as a coincidence, but doubt begins to creep in. Later that day, she returns home to find her father waiting for her. With a serious expression, he shows her footage from a security camera. Her heart sinks as she watches the video. John and his friends are clearly seen breaking into their home. Frank admits he chose not to report John to the police out of gratitude for saving Patricia. Elizabeth is devastated. The realization that someone she trusted, someone she loved, may have been living a double life is too much to bear. The weight of betrayal pulls her into sadness once again, and the light she had begun to feel slowly fades. A few days later, John is still overwhelmed by grief. He sits silently, struggling with heartbreak and guilt. Sluggo tries to comfort him, urging him to stay strong. But their conversation is interrupted when a known criminal confronts Sluggo over unpaid debts. In a sudden, tragic moment, the criminal pulls out a gun and shoots Sluggo in the middle of the street, right in front of John. Shocked and devastated, John breaks down, unable to believe what just happened. A wave of anger takes over him, and he decides to take matters into his own hands. Fueled by rage, he grabs Frank's old gun, determined to get revenge for Sluggo's death. But someone else is watching. John's third friend, fearing the worst, calls Elizabeth and begs her to stop John before it's too late. Elizabeth rushes to the location, her heart pounding. When she arrives, she's stunned to find the police already there. She learns that John had gone to confront the criminal, but just before pulling the trigger, he chose a different path. Instead of taking revenge, he called the police and turned himself in. The officers arrive, arrest the man who killed Sluggo, and also detain John for illegally possessing the firearm. Desperate to help him, Elizabeth jumps on a nearby motorcycle and blocks the police vehicle. Despite their attempts to move her, she refuses to leave. The officers, unsure of what to do, decide to detain her as well. But Elizabeth has a plan. By staying in custody alongside John, she hopes to pressure her father, Frank, to use his influence to free them both and erase John's record. All she wants now is a future with him, no matter what it takes. So friends, what would you do if you had to choose between love and your future? Could you take the fall for someone you love? Or would you walk away to protect them from your own mistakes? John and Elizabeth's story is a powerful reminder that love isn't just about being together in happy moments, but standing beside each other even in the darkest times. What would you have done if you were in Elizabeth's place? Would you fight the world for love? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. And if you felt moved by this story, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Your support truly helps us bring more heartfelt stories to you. See you in the next one. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy,